Kobe, you don't look like yourself. What's up?
How can I be myself when my consignment have been confiscated and burned?
What? Which consignment is that?
My whole load of maize and groundnut that I was exporting.
The authorities did that for no reason?
They said my consignment was contaminated with something called Aflatoxin or something.
It's aflatoxins. Look, those are very dangerous substances, my brother.
I respect you as an agric extension officer. But whatever it is, I see this as a scheme by the Western world trying to frustrate with the local producers. Seriously, I'm not going to produce for export again. I would only produce for local consumption.
Local champion.
Look, Kobe, as a medical doctor, I know the health implications of aflatoxins. The European or Western world know it. And they do not want to die of aflatoxin contamination. So why should we sit idle and be dying of aflatoxin contamination?
Are you guys really my friends?
Oh, come on.
Of course.
We are your friends, and that is why we have to tell you the truth. The authorities did the right thing by burning your contaminated goods. Look, you know, aflatoxins are dangerous substances that are known to bring on a life-threatening ailment like liver cancer.
Thank you, Lamisi, which reminds me, nowadays almost everything can cause cancer. In fact, in 2004, 125 people died from aflatoxicosis.
What kind of beast is that?
It is not a beast. It is a condition caused when a person consumes food with high levels of aflatoxins.
Hey, you're saying hey. In my practice as a food scientist, I'm aware aflatoxins usually attack staple foods like corn or maize, peanuts, groundnut, sorghum, wheat, soya, as well as processed foods such as Tom Brown, groundnut paste, Hausa cocoa, and the likes.
Hey, and this aflatoxin.
Aflatoxins.
Yeah, aflatoxin. It must be very deadly.
Oh, very deadly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Very deadly, very deadly. In fact, they can cause stunted growth in babies and children, as well as immune suppression.
I see. But instead of burning all these contaminated grains, why not put it to better use?
Like what?
Like feed it to the livestock.
No. Look, that's dangerous and unacceptable. Look, aflatoxins contaminated grains, when fed to livestock, gets the livestock infected. And anyone who consumes the livestock also ingests the aflatoxins into his or her system, thereby contracting the deadly disease.
I've been ignorant about it.
Oh, very, very, very. But not anymore.
To Kobe, who is now an ex-ignoramus.
To Kobe.
Minti di kwada.
Minti da. Hey.
Minimum dear friend sir.
Then I aflatoxin.
Minti aflatoxin. Aflatoxin. Minimum de kuya de sir. Aflatoxin ele no ni ji.
Aduane foforo aba na.
You see, a Greek and Yemen fertilizer and Yemen Mudia. I say, I'm a bros. It's a bro, beans, and it and more.
And I put down.
Aflatoxins, I know, are microbes that are found in products such as maize and granules.
Eji mwawa ikomeni anaka jo abele ke nkatie ke akoko ke guinea corn.
The term mycotoxin literally means poison from fungus. Mycotoxins are secondary metabolites of fungi, which contaminate many food commodities, especially grains. Aflatoxins produced by Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus fungi are mycotoxins that play a vital role in food safety and food security in Ghana.
Aflatoxins are a big group of toxins that are actually under the mycotoxins. These are a range of toxins that are produced by molds that grow on our products. And there are various types of it. There are about 20 types of aflatoxins. But the most important ones that we look at is aflatoxin B1, B2, G1, G2, which also has derivatives from B1, B2, being M1 and M2. The most toxic of it is aflatoxin B1 and its derivative. B1 is known by the International Agency for Research into Cancer as a class 1 carcinogen, meaning that it causes cancer. And a lot of research has also shown that the derivative which comes out in the milk of mammals and of humans, which is from the B1, is also another toxic agent, which is also classified as a class 1.
The toxin-producing fungi has the potential to contaminate crops in the field, at harvest, and during storage. Research has shown the occurrence of aflatoxins in a large fraction of the food consumed in Ghana. This includes maize, rice, sorghum, groundnuts, soya, other derivative products, and local Ghanaian dishes.
Aflatoxins are caused by Aspergillus species, mainly Aspergillus parasiticus. There are other fungi which are also responsible for aflatoxins contamination.
The mold that produces aflatoxin is known to grow best in warm and humid tropical regions.
Aflatoxin normally contaminates nuts and cereals because the molds which cause aflatoxins like very carbonaceous foods, that is foods rich in carbons. In Ghana, the kind of nuts we mainly consume is groundnuts, and these groundnuts are normally produced in the soil. Aflatoxins fungi, such as Aspergillus flavus, is normally found in the soil. So the contact between these nuts and the fungi is very easy.
Maize and groundnuts represent one of the main staples of Ghanaians. Equally, they are some of the grains most susceptible to aflatoxin contamination.
These things affect both human beings and animals. Sadly, even when animals feed on these harmful substances, they can transmit them to humans when the humans eat both the animals as well as the food. So aflatoxins actually are harmful because they will be present in the cereal, but the protein you are going to eat, be it meat or poultry, would also have the same toxin. In children, they affect the rate of growth. They are stunted. If adults get exposed to heavy doses or large amounts, it causes liver damage, and sadly, sometimes the liver damage is long-term and actually will lead eventually to liver cancer and death.
The population of Ghana continues to soar, and the risk of aflatoxin contamination becomes a clear and present danger. The need to gauge the awareness level of relevant players becomes more imperative.
In Ghana, it is fair to say that a significant proportion of the population are exposed to aflatoxin. So the population at risk is very high. Actual population that suffers from the exposure is difficult to tell. But we live in a country where we are witnessing very high levels of liver cancer. That never used to be the case. And other cancers, all of which could be related directly to the consumption of aflatoxin in food and animals.
Aflatoxin contamination has very, very dire economic consequences for every country, and especially Ghana, being a country that is trying to move away from being an import-dependent country to an exporting country. Far too many times, we attempt to send cereals and grains out of the country only to receive alerts, export alerts from the consignee countries that the levels of aflatoxin in some of these cereals exceed what is permissible in their countries. This has happened far too many times, and when it happens like that, alerts are sent through our missions in the consignee countries, and when it happens one time too many, we get blacklisted.
We've come to realize that we produce a lot of corn and maize in Ghana. Nestle is based in Ghana, yet Nestle imports maize from Brazil. The question is why? Because the quality of the maize our farmers are producing is of substandard to Nestle. Nestle is looking at maize quality with free aflatoxin level of about 4 ppb. But farmers are producing maize at a aflatoxin level of about over 100 ppb. So they can't tap into that high-end market. So you need to do something about it.
When it comes to aflatoxin contamination, the very first step that the Standards Authority has taken is to set standards for the cereals and grains and all these products that are prone to aflatoxin contamination.
The limit for aflatoxins vary according to commodities. Commodities like maize and then groundnuts have aflatoxin level, that is the B1 of 5. microgram per kilogram, and then aflatoxin level of 10 microgram per kilogram for the total aflatoxin. European countries, for instance, have aflatoxin levels of 4 and then 2. 4 being for the total aflatoxins and then 2 for the aflatoxin B1 for maize and then granules.
By the Ghana Standards Authority, the Food and Drugs Authority, the universities, the research institutions, and consumers coming together, we agree on what is safe food, how safe food should be packaged, labeled, and sold. And we set the parameters for testing and verifying that whatever is circulating in commerce or is being eaten in homes of people meets the standards that will ensure that they are safe and useful and provide the nutrition necessary for human health.
Aflatoxin is a food safety issue, so of course it is supposed to be addressed within the national food safety policy. But because of the urgency with which we need to address the aflatoxin issues, we are now developing a national policy for aflatoxin control. And we are lucky to say that AGRA is supporting Ghana to also develop their own action plan for aflatoxin control.
Sometime last year, the Standards Authority was made aware that the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa had some funding available, for agencies that were interested in combating this aflatoxin menace. So the authority put together a proposal to AGRA, and luckily we won some funding for the National Aflatoxin Sensitization and Management Project, which is a 2-year project aimed at sensitizing farmers mainly, but also processors, consumers of the dangers of aflatoxin contamination, and also exposing them to ways of managing the menace. So far, we have collaborated with several agencies, including the Embassy of Mexico in Ghana, the University of Ghana, the University of Natural Resources. We've also collaborated with the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, a number of other agencies, the Food and Drugs Authority. We have come together with all these partners because we all do realize the threat that this aflatoxin menace poses not only for the economy of the country, but also for the health of the populace.
Bearing ultimate responsibility of promoting sustainable agriculture and thriving agribusiness through research and technology development, effective extension and other support services to farmers, processors and traders for improved livelihood, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has intensified efforts in curbing the aflatoxin menace.
Contamination starts from the field, and therefore we have undertaken a number of training programs for first our extension agents. They are the conduit through which good agricultural practices are transmitted to our farmers who produce our grains, maize, granules, and the other commodities that are susceptible to aflatoxin contamination. We have also provided appropriate information, education, and communication materials on managing and containing aflatoxin contamination in farm produce.
With an ever-increasing population and studies indicating that up to 65% of maize and groundnut crops get contaminated by aflatoxins, it becomes vital that pragmatic steps are adopted to measure population exposure to the poisonous substance and thereafter come up with appropriate management remedies.
For a long time, people think that aflatoxin contamination happens during the post-harvest, but it starts from the field. So IITA came out with a technology that reduces aflatoxin from the field. Aflatoxin is produced by a fungus called Aspergillus flavus. This fungus in nature has different species. You have the one that produces the toxin, and the researchers find that they have other ones that do not produce the toxin. They try to identify the one that do not produce toxin and give them advantage so that in the field they compete with the bad one. It takes the place of the bad one. So if you have in the environment, you don't have the bad one, you don't have the toxin. So by applying these fungus in the field with the good ones, you displace the bad one and you have the good one in the place. And it's the biological, it's bio.
The utmost is being done to ward off the aflatoxin scourge. But it's equally critical that frontline players in the food production value chain are kept abreast with preventive measures that could help reduce the risk of aflatoxin contamination.
In taking precautionary steps to prevent aflatoxin contamination, you want to look at all the various steps or the various points in the production chain. So you want to first look at the farmer, then you look at the aggregator, you will want to look at the processor. These are very key.
The farmer himself can follow good agronomic practices, and one of the practices is crop rotation. Once he keeps on growing, let's say maize, which is a very good substrate for aflatoxin contamination, the fungal population will increase on the field. But if he disrupts the crop cycle by growing a crop that is not preferred by the fungi, let's say he grows maize this season, the following season he grows soybean, which is not so much preferred by the fungi. The fungal population drops in the field.
After planting, you also want to take good care of the plant. When there's so much weed on the farm, it affects the health of the plant. So when the plant is not healthy, it's very easy for aflatoxin or fungus to attack them.
The other thing is planting early. If you plant early and applies the right nutrients at the right time at the recommended rate, the plant is able to grow with vigor and it's able to withstand or overcome stress. And by so doing, it helps minimize the aflatoxin contamination. The other thing is also the application of the biocontrol, which is the Aflasafe. And this biocontrol product helps to displace the aflatoxin-producing fungi from the field. So the Aflasafe targets the causal agent itself. Following that, the farmer during harvest needs to harvest on time.
It is very good not to leave the crop on the field for a very long time so that birds, for example, begin to attack them, exposing the shells. When that happens, it allows the fungus that brings about the aflatoxin to attack the maize. And again, on the harvesting, you also want to look at lodging. Lodging is when you have maize plants falling on the ground. When it happens like that, once the cob touches the soil, it exposes the crop to the fungus. The way the farmer can go about it is to separate the crops that have lodged from crops that are standing. And then from the harvest, you also want to look at the storage. Even before you go into storage, you want to separate the maize which you can see are affected. So you don't lump all of them together and store them. And then again, when you have done the shelling, you will also advise to take out certain affected grains. And that also will help in preventing aflatoxin contamination. Now we come to the aggregators, because they put together a whole lot of grains from different places. The transportation activity is also very key. Sometimes you see some of them, they pack a whole load of maize or granite. It's not covered. It's at the mercy of the weather. And when that happens, it begins to grow moldy. And once you have mold, you are sure to have aflatoxin being produced.
When it comes to the market woman who is also selling also need to take measures so that it doesn't increase the moisture content, and she also stores properly. So in the storehouse, they should be arranged on pallets. There should be air space around. The room should be well ventilated, and rodents should be prevented. So all those rodenticides that they use to apply in the storehouse to prevent rodents should be used so that rodents don't go and feed on the grain.
We all do realize the threat that this aflatoxin menace poses not only for the economy of the country, but also for the health of the populace. And so far we have done a pretty decent job going around the country, talking to the farmers, training the extension officers who we know are in touch with these farmers on a daily basis, so that long after this project has ended, the message on aflatoxins, how to combat aflatoxins and all of that will live on.
Farmers have come to understand that if they produce good quality maize or granules, they stand to benefit a lot because they will be getting premium price for their produce.
Evidently, The crusade against aflatoxins lies high on the agenda of the Ghana Standard Authority and her collaborative agencies. The NASAM project couldn't have come at a better time. It will improve information dissemination on aflatoxins, thereby improving food security and safety, as well as promote trade.